Toronto Blue Jay prospect guru Brennan Delaney back in the house for the second and third segment today as we deep dive some Toronto Blue Jay prospects. And it is Throwback Thursday. And today we look at how some former Toronto Blue Jays are doing with their new teams. And in there, we look at the extreme irony that an amazing move the 2023 Toronto Blue Jays could make is trading with the Chicago Cubs for Marcus Stroman and Julian Merryweather. Yeah, I am serious. And when you hear the deep dive, you may be convinced too.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, friends. Craig Ballard, Locked On Blue Jays. Locked On Blue Jays, of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Keep in mind that every Toronto Blue Jay game available for you to take in on Sirius XM. Want to shout out some of the new YouTube, easy for me to say, YouTube subscribers to the Locked On Blue Jay YouTube channel. Alex, Richard, Day Early. Oh boy, Richard, was I even close on that? I'm going to say it was Day Early. Richard Day Early and Breesh. And to the everydayers making the Locked On Blue Jays podcast their first podcast listen every single day, I see it, and I certainly thank you for that. Please do hit that 5-star rating. Today on Locked On Blue Jays, Brennan Delaney in the second and third segments. Remember, we sort of left off yesterday's episode with a cliffhanger as he was about to start deep diving Relvis Martinez. I hope you're as excited about Relvis Martinez as I am. But let's start today. But it's Throwback Thursday, right? So we definitely want to have a throwback segment in here. So I thought let's take a look at how some former Toronto Blue Jays are doing. And yes, of course, we're going to get into Lourdes and Gabby Moreno and Marcus Semien. And there's a few we're going to get into, right? But believe it or not, we're going to start with two Chicago Cubs. Yeah, I said at the beginning, I mean, I think this is an amazing move if the Blue Jays could bring in Stroman and Merryweather. And it probably raised, a Spockian eyebrow or two out there, right? I mean, who wants to deal with Marcus Stroman? Some people don't like him, his off-field stuff. And Julian Merryweather didn't, Craig, I'm pretty sure we tried that already, and it did not go well. Well, let's start with Julian Merryweather. He's a Chicago Cub now, and his first 5 outings with the Chicago Cubs, it was the Julian Merryweather that you're thinking of. It was the Toronto Blue Jays Julian Merryweather. He had allowed 8 earned runs in just 5 2/3 innings pitched over those first 5 outings. He's just getting rocked. Now, since then, he's had 27 appearances. In those 27 appearances, 26 2/3 innings pitched, allowed just 3 runs. That's a 1.01 ERA. So that goes back to April 17th. So over 2 months of action for Julian Merryweather, 27 appearances out of that bullpen for the Cubs. He's allowed 3 runs to an ERA of 1.01. And in those 26 and 2/3 innings, by the way, 41 strikeouts. Holy moly. In June alone, Julian Merryweather, no runs allowed in 9 2/3 innings pitched. That spans 9 appearances. And in those 9 2/3 June innings, 18 strikeouts. Wow. Oh, and by the way, he's hitting over 100 on a regular basis as well. He's hitting over 100 miles per hour on a regular basis as well. I mean, Julian Merryweather, wow, he's really putting it together for the Chicago Cubs. Marcus Stroman. The Stro Show's own record is at 9-4. Now, that's remarkable. The Cubs are under 500 team. Stroman's ERA is at 2.28. That's number 1 in all of the National League. It's number 3 in all of baseball. I mean, is that good? Is the Stro Show doing it this year? I mean, wow. The Cubs are under 500. They're 10-6 when Marcus Stroman pitches this season. Holy moly. In the 6 losses, by the way, they're averaging 2 runs per game. I should say just 2 runs per game. So basically, this poor Chicago Cubs team, when it's Marcus Stroman on the mound and the offense does anything, this poor Chicago Cubs team wins. Nothing has been hittable from the Stro Show this season. The cut fastball has been unhittable. The 4-seam fastball has been unhittable. The split finger fastball has been unhittable. His slider, his slurve, his sinker, unhittable. He's been so good. And where I would love him for a Toronto Blue Jay, obviously, familiar with a lot of things Toronto Blue Jay related, yes, but he's pitched against the Tampa Bay Rays this season. Remember, the last 2 weeks of this season, it's all Yankees and Rays on the schedule for the Toronto Blue Jays. So somebody's going to have to step up against the Tampa Bay Rays going down the stretch for the Blue Jays. Well, Stroman pitched against the Rays a couple weeks back. How about a complete game shutout? 1 hit, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. Holy absolute moly, right? Holy absolute moly. Now, hey, I should mention, right? I don't think the Blue Jays have the prospects to get a trade like this done. Like, I should mention that, right? I'm not actually predicting this, but yes, I think you see where I'm going when I say that would be an amazing move for the 2023 Toronto Blue Jays. Marcus Semien. Marcus Semien on pace for the second best batting average and on base percentage of his entire career. He's just been fantastic for the Texas Rangers this season. I wasn't a believer in the Texas Rangers. Marcus Semien and that team has made me believers. He's just been so good. He's on pace for a similar season to that of what he had with the Blue Jays back in 2021. Now, less home runs, yes, but less strikeouts. The rest of his numbers are pretty, production-wise, pretty similar to what he did as a Blue Jay in 2021. And don't we know that what he did as a Blue Jay in 2021 was absolutely massive? That was an all-star season, by the way. Marcus Semien is hitting out of that leadoff spot for the Texas Rangers. He's 5th in baseball for RBIs. Hitting out of the leadoff spot. He's got 54 RBIs hitting out of that leadoff spot for the Texas Rangers. Is that good? It's the middle of June, or a little bit past the middle of June now, but we're not even into July. And he's projected for well over 100 RBIs in the leadoff spot. Marcus Semien. Wow, wow, wow. How about Steven Matz? I think a lot of us saw this coming, right? That the Cardinals were gonna rue that 4-year, 44 million US. So what's that? That's like 2.8 billion Canadian, or however that works out, for Steven Matz. Holy moly! His own record as a St. Louis Cardinal in the last year and a half is 5-10. His ERA is 5.38. I say 5-10 as a Cardinal. Well, this season he's 0-7. Oh my goodness, 0-7. He's had 30 starts for the St. Louis Cardinals. They've won 12 of those games. Was that money well spent? And again, we all saw that coming, right? Just a ridiculous contract. He had that great season under Pete Walker a couple years ago, 2021. We knew somebody would massively overpay for Steven Matz. The Cardinals said, yeah, it's going to be us. And wow, I mean, if they could get out from under that trade right now, they absolutely would. Now, you knew we were going to get into Lourdes and Moreno, right? Because, two popular Blue Jays, especially Lourdes. Well, even Moreno is very popular. Blue Jay fans understood he has a huge upside, and still has a massive upside, of course. But yes, for the Dalton Varsho, it's a trade that's under a lot of people's magnifying glass all season, under a lot of people's microscopes all season, yes. And it started out very one-sided, but things have taken a turn recently. Let's look at this. Lourdes on the season, 276 batting average with 11 home runs. His 822 OPS would be second on the Blue Jays behind only Bo Bichette. So overall, start to finish, yes, you have to be happy with Lourdes. But I'll say this. Lourdes Gurriel hit a solo home run back on May 29th. That put his average at 320. Is that good? Holy moly. Wow. That was May 29th, hitting 320. 7 for 72 since. That's an 0.97 batting average. Since May, he's lost over 40 points on his batting average. He's lost over 40 points on his batting average. He's hitting just under 300 when he plays left field. So he's actually done better when he's played out in the field, been engaged in that game. He's actually done better in those scenarios than as a DH. Again, overall, start to finish, aren't those numbers on the surface good for Lourdes? But when you deep dive the last, month or so, wow, has he been struggling. Speaking of wow, has he been struggling the last month or so? Gabriel Moreno. On the season, Gabby hitting 267. The defense is every bit as special as you would expect it to be. 5 weeks ago, Gabby Moreno was hitting 321, but just like Lourdes, he has plummeted. He's lost 54 points off of his batting average since mid-May. Meanwhile, as all this is taking place, don't look now, right? But Dalton Varsho is coming on. Dalton Varsho, 277 in June, 365 on base percentage in June. Varsho ended April hitting below 200. Holy moly. He's added 34 points to his batting average since then. So on Throwback Thursday, we see that trade with Arizona starting to tilt a little bit in favor of the Toronto Blue Jays. Coming up on Locked On Blue Jays, we're again joined by Blue Jays prospect guru Brennan Delaney. And we left off yesterday as Brennan was about to deep dive Aurelvis Martinez, and Brennan talks Blue Jays prospects in the second segment and in the third and final segment today. Blue Jays are off today, but if they were playing, of course, reminder, you could have caught that game on Sirius XM. I want to take a quick moment here to talk to you about Bird Dog's stretchy shorts and pants. Bird Dogs make you look good. Bird Dog's stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you that truly sculpted look. They fit way better than regular shorts that are made of that stiff, that restricting cotton. Bird Dog fixed that issue by inventing a cloud-knit fabric that looks just like khaki but stretches, so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. Bird Dog uses anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that helps keep you cool and dry all day long. The comfort, yes, you're going to love about the Bird Dogs. Versatile is another word I would use to describe these things. You can wear your Bird Dog stretchy shorts or pants on the golf course, to dinner, to the movies, you're hanging out with friends. You absolutely name it. You're going to consider these things versatile. And again, comfy, right? Go to birddogs.com/lockedonMLB for a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/lockedonMLB for a free Yeti style tumbler. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. And can I show you something here? Hey, I've got my free Yeti style tumbler. You mentioned Addison Barger, and I want to get into Barger and Orelvis. I've long thought that the Blue Jays would lose Whit Merrifield at the end of the season, would lose Matt Chapman at the end of the season, but I wasn't devastated by that because there's guys, and now Davis Schneider in that mix, who I think need a position at the big league level next season. Now, Brennan, I'm one of the extreme minority people. I never gave up on Orelvis. I've been massive on Orelvis from day one. Continue to be massive on Orelvis. I know you mentioned Barger earlier. I want to get to Barger, but let's start with Orelvis just because I'm such a fan. I'm so excited about Orelvis Martinez. What do you see him projecting out at the big league level? When do you see him being a contributor on the big league level?
He may get back. He may get in like towards the end of next season, but I think he's a 2025 guy. Yeah. And I've had this spiel so many times. He was 20 years old in Double-A.
Jeez, right?
There's not a lot of 20-year-olds. Yes, he did not hit for average. Yes, there was issues with the strikeout rate. But now he's a little bit older. He's a little bit more experienced. You kind of see, oh, well, he's 21 in Double-A, and he's not doing too bad anymore. He started off really poor, to be honest. His BABIP was like, I think, 0.5. Mm-hmm. But as he's gotten more comfortable this season, he's going the opposite field. He's hitting singles, which was not happening. Obviously, he's still 17 home runs. He's leading the organization in home runs, but you can see that he's mature and at the level. And I think that Blue Jays fans were more harsh on him than other prospect watchers. They would see, 30 home runs as a 20-year-old in Double-A. That's really good. I think he was second in all of Double-A last season. But we were like, he has a 211 batting average. And it's like, he's going to get better because when he plays with people his age, when he did that in 2021, he was hitting like 270 or something like that. So I think it was just kind of a wait, give him a little bit more time. And obviously he has now blossomed and probably should be in AAA soon.
I'm so glad you put it that way, Brendan, because I feel like it's because I've said that many times. When you look at Orelvis, when he catches up to the age, because he's so good, he keeps getting promoted. When he catches up and is now playing people of his own age, so his peers, man, things really take off from it. Sounds too simple to say that, right? But I'm glad that you're saying that as well, Brennan. You're noticing that as well. Now, how about Addison Barger? I think the fan base might even be a little more excited about him if he was healthy and we were seeing what he's capable of. But when you just see him, I mean, I honestly think that, and I know Vlad is struggling mightily, but I feel like Barger is Vlad's from the left side, just as far as that bat, that controlled violence through the strike. I mean, that swing, Brennan, is exciting from Addison Barger from that left side too.
Do you know he's actually naturally right-handed batter?
How crazy is that?
That's crazy.
How crazy is that?
It's a wild swing, man. But I think in 2021, he was not really a prospect everyone was looking at. Like he didn't rank in my honorable mentions. I knew he had the home runs, but it was like, he has a 32.2 strikeout rate or something like that. Once that went down, I think everyone started to see, hey, Addison Barger is a really, really good player. I think the injury kind of affected him. I don't know for sure. I'm not an insider. I just kind of assume. Same with Spencer Horwitz and his thumb last season. I kind of just assumed, hey, that's probably why his numbers are struggling. But I think when he's healthy, you're going to see what we saw from him last season. I think he's just too good of a player. He has insane power too.
Do you think he could be on the big league level as soon as next season?
I think he can make it this season if he hits the ground running when he comes back from his rehab assignment. I think if he's doing really well by September and they need, because of an injury or whatever, I think that he has an opportunity because he plays all over the place too. Even outfield now too, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, great. So let's look at a few that have made the big league level. And forgive me here, Brandon, I'm not excited about either one of these guys. Now, again, I really respect your take on things, so maybe you'll get me excited. But when it comes to Spencer Horwitz, when it comes to Nate Lucas, boy, I don't see a lot of their. I'm talking about production at the big league level. I don't see a lot of there. Let's start with Horwitz, Brendan. Talk me into getting excited about Horwitz. or will you?
Best hit tool in the organization.
Okay. Well, okay. No, that's exciting.
I don't think it's close.
Okay, that's exciting.
I also think that he can hit for more power. I think it's just his approach. It's high on base percentage, high average. Like we've seen him hit 12 homers in a season twice now. One of them was in high, where he was in Ron Tonkin Field, which actually takes like the dimensions of that park are not good for hitting homers, and he still hit 10 homers and then 2 in New Hampshire. He hit 12 last season too. Granted, he was at the Delta Dental Stadium. It's mouthful, but yeah, left-handed park. But no, he has power. He just, again, I think it's more of his approach doesn't lead to more power. But he is one of the best eyes in the organization. He's one of the best hit tools in the organization, if not the best. Like I think it was up there with Gabri Moreno's hit tool. That's how good I think. Okay. I'm pretty high on Horwitz. I've been since 2021, but yeah, I really like Horwitz a lot.
Brennan, I tasked you. I said, hey, get me excited about Horwitz. You just got me excited about Horwitz. Hey, best hit tool in the organization. Okay, that's enough said right there. I'm loving that. Now, I just can't imagine you're going to get me excited about Nathan Lucas, Brennan. But hey, let's turn it over to you. Hey, how about Nathan Lucas?
I like his bat. Again, he hits for a good average. He has some power in his bat. Plays well defensively. I think he just needs opportunity. I don't know if that's going to be with the Blue Jays. I like him a lot. Wow, okay. I kind of felt bad that he was sitting on the bench for as long as he did without any play time, because he has, I think, around 100 plate appearances this season.
Oh, jeez.
I think he should have been down in AAA if you're not going to play him. But no, I like him. He's good depth to have. He deserves more opportunities. I don't know if he's going to get it in Toronto, which is sad to say.
I really understood the Dalton Varsho trade from this standpoint, Brennan. I like Shapiro and Atkins, but there are a few areas where I would definitely consider their cupboard pretty bare, and the developments of bringing an outfielder through the system to the big league level that's that rookie outfielder or that young outfielder with that high upside and that controllable contract. It's been complete swings and misses for Shapiro and Atkins where that's concerned. So I understood the idea of bringing in Dalton Varsho. Going forward, the Blue Jays' chances for an outfielder like that is the Gabriel, the Martinez's of the world, the Desan Browns, the Emmanuel Benias. Brown is the only one in there. I'm really hoping Bonilla can put it together. I'm really, really hoping I can get excited about him. Maybe I'm in the minority here, Brennan. I'm not excited about Gabriel Martinez at all. Desan Brown, I can see some tools there. Would you agree that those are the three outfielders that have the best chance in this system? I know you mentioned you've talked, you wrote about the lower level outfielders. We can get into some of those guys as well. But of the Martinez, the Brown, the Benias, the guys that are on that top 50 list right now, are there any of those three that you're particularly excited about?
I like all three. I think Gabby has a good hit tool as well. He showed a lot of power last season, but he's kind of hit the high A full season wall right there. He's still very young for the level. He's only 20. So I think next season, if he repeats the level, he's going to be a lot better at it. Desan Brown, he started off so slow, but you can just see the tools that he is your prototypical 5-tool guy, at least average across the board. Speed 80 grade, defense is fantastic.
And just to mention real quick, if you're not familiar, 80 grade, I don't know why it's out of 80, but that's the highest grade, right, Brendan? That's top dog. Yeah.
He's fast. I wish I could like that.
Bottom line, he's fast. Yeah.
His power tool came along last season. I think he had 3 home runs in the Northwest League final, which was 3 games.
Oh, wow.
It was insane. He's starting to heat up now too. It's nice to see. His hit tool and his power tool, for that matter, is kind of lacking behind the other tools, but you can see that with development, it'll be there. I think he's still only 21 as well. Mm-hmm. Emmanuel Beno, I haven't seen him play, but he's reached base in all 11 games that he's played this season, and I think in his last 7 games, 8 games, he's had a hit in, I think, 7 of them.
And you wrote a few days back about the lower level outfielders. So give us a name or two in there, Brendan, that are not on our minds right now, but this time next year, going to start to be on our radars.
Alan Roden should already be on everyone's list. I think he has a 128 WRC. I don't know if I wrote that down. I did it earlier today, but no, he's been fantastic this season. Another player is Jaden Rudd. I pegged him to have a breakout season this year, and he's been absolutely fantastic. He has the highest WRC plus out of anyone on Dunedin. Robert Robertus, which I like to call him Robert times 2. He's not having the best of seasons, but he's showing things, and that's that's really important down in the lower minors. You can't really just look at statistics. You have to look at what are they bringing elsewhere, and he's shown his power. He had 2 home runs in Double A last season as a 19-year-old or something, and that's it. It's pretty barren down there. They should draft some outfielders if you're drafting for need.
Well, you gave us 3. That's probably 1 or 2 more than I thought you might give us, Brennan. Again, I like Shapiro and Atkins. I've just not been enamored with what they've done with the outfield.
Can I get more? Yeah. Garrett Spain is having a fantastic season this year. He had 6 home runs last season. He's already matched his career high. He's hitting home runs at clutch moments. He had a grand slam with the Canadians down. They were down to their last out. Hits a grand slam. They win that game. Literally a week later, down to the last out with a runner on base, hits another home run, walks it off. Tyler Zickel had a fantastic call for that.
You're giving me, was that recent, Brennan? You're giving me deja vu on this. Was that in the last little while?
Yep. It was last Wednesday. Hit that home run.
Oh, okay, that's the last little while. Yeah, I remember. It might have even been you on Twitter that was sharing those clips. I remember seeing something about that on social media actually, and they weren't just home runs; they were massively timely home runs. It's funny, Brennan, because I was literally thinking in my clutch home runs because I was literally thinking in my head, how many times has Vlad been up in this situation? And we've been looking for something like this on the big league level, right? So it's funny. I actually remember that. Coming up on Locked On Blue Jays, more with Prospects Guru Brennan Delaney. We're going to get into some prospects, very exciting guys like Leo Jimenez, Yosfer Zulueta, Hayden Yinger, Adam Macko, Alex DeJesus. Reminder that the Locked On Blue Jay podcast is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. That's your team every day. And you can catch all of the Toronto Blue Jay games on SiriusXM. How about a guy that seems to be, I'm so interested to get your take on this guy, Brennan, because of all the Blue Jay prospects, he's the one where, any Blue Jay prospect conversation, the lead character is Ricky Tiedemann, right? And then you get into the Bargers and the Revs. There's some big names there, but I feel like Leo Jimenez is really, really, really getting on people's radars lately. I feel like he's been hot lately. Where are you on Leo Jimenez, Brennan?
Jimenez has showed every single year he's improved with something. So he was injured for a lot of the 2021 season, but he had a walk rate of like 50 or something or an on-base percentage of 50. I don't know the exact stat. Insane. It was a little bit old for the level, not by a lot, but he should have been in in Triple A, High A. Last season in High A, he only had 1 home run. Back in 2021, he hit 6 home runs, so he started showing the power. This season, he's kind of put both of those together. He has 4 home runs. I think he has nearly a 300 batting average too. Like he's just shown every single year, and he's still pretty young. I think he's like 22. Great defensively too. Like he's just solid at shortstop. I think he'll stick there. Good hands, good feet, good internal clock, especially for such a young age. I'm really high in Jimenez, and he's kind of shown why he was once that top 5 position player prospect as well for the Jays.
It's the exact opposite. As down as I am with the outfield prospects coming up, the middle infield prospects coming up, forget about it. So much to get excited about there. Absolutely. Let's turn to some guys on the mound here. Now, you talk about prospects going forward, but Brennan, I'm looking at this guy as somebody who can really help the 2023 Toronto Blue Jays. And as the season keeps going on, I keep realizing, or I keep wondering, am I just really off on this? Because I seem to be way in the minority. I have no idea how nobody is talking about how Yosfer Zulueta can help this team at the big league level. Am I just crazy on this, Brennan? I'm liking this guy's stuff. I would like to see him get a shot to help at the back of this bullpen on the big league level.
His command and control of his pitches are still not where it needs to be, I think. I think his velocity, I didn't check, and I probably should have, but I think his velocity is down as well. From what I've seen, he's not touching 100 as much as he was touching last season. He's been sitting 96, 97, which is kind of a concern, even though it's still thrown hard. I like him. I think all 4 of his pitches are pretty nasty. I think he just needs a little bit more time to develop because, again, he was signed in 2019, played in Cuba for a year or two, but then missed all 2020, 2021, and a little bit of 2022 in like the summer, but he's still rusty. He may be 25 like me, but he's still developed as like a 22-year-old. That's where his development is. That's just how I see it. I think he needs a little bit more time, but he definitely has the ceiling of someone who can really.
That's what I see too. Yeah. Fair enough. Now, how about now? There's no need at the big league level for the closer right now, Jordan Romano. Thank you very much. But Hayden Yinger could certainly be that guy going forward. Now, he's somebody, Brennan, who, I mean, am I wrong? He struggled a bit this season, but still go. Oh, okay. There. So I'm not wrong. Look at that reaction I just got. So
okay. Here's a stat I wrote. So he has a 6.75 ERA and a 4.01 FIP.
Ooh.
His line drive percentage, 33.7%, which is insane. Like, he has a 0.447 BABIP. So if a batter touches the ball and it's in play, nearly half the time it's a hit.
That's incredible.
That's
incredible.
Insanely unlucky.
What's happening, Brendan?
I have no idea. It's the issue. Like last season, I think he had like a 16, 18 line drive percentage, which is pretty good. And his BABIP, I don't remember that stat from last season, but I don't know what's happened this year. I can't explain it. It doesn't make sense. Like, he's very unlucky. Like, even a line drive percentage that high is very high, but nearly a 5. It's like if someone's bad and hits the ball and it's almost half the time a hit, that's
incredible.
That's just
incredible.
An outlier of a stat. He also gets hit hard quite a bit too, which is kind of worrisome. It was happening last season as well, but all 3 of his pitches are pretty nasty, and I think that he could eventually help out in a bulk role.
So you haven't. So you're acknowledging, I mean, what we've seen this season hasn't been ideal, but going forward, Brendan, you're still excited about him.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Now I want to finish off here with a pair more players here. Brendan, I feel like these next 2 are just forgotten. Everyone talks about the Teo trade as Teo for Swanson. Of course, that's not the case. Adam Macko was in there. Everybody talks about the Mitch White for Frasso. Of course, that's not the case. Alex DeJesus was in there, and you know we're talking about a couple in Macko anyway. Potentially a top 10 prospect for the Toronto Blue Jays, and somebody, a lefty who could contribute. Dare I say as early as next season, but certainly 2025 and going forward. Let's start with Adam Macko, Brendan. Are you at all excited about him?
Yep. Results haven't been there, but again, it's a case of it's high A. There's more than just stats, but his stuff is just disgusting. If he could ever figure out his control and command issues, which it's actually declined a little bit this season. So his strikeout rate, but if he could ever fine tune that, throw strikes, his stuff just plays so well. Like, the curveball is one of the best in the organization. Fastball has touched as high as, like, I think 97, maybe 98. Changeup is a little bit underrated, I think. Sliders, hard, sharp. Just a very good prospect. It was a good pickup by them as well.
I love that. Absolutely. I thought his curveball was major league ready when he was drafted. And when he was drafted, Brendan, if I remember correctly, it was like 89, 90 for that fastball. Then we saw some 91, 92. All of a sudden, like you said, 96, 97. To your point, never mind what the stats are showing.
As a lefty, too.
As a lefty. I literally think he could be the best. I've thought about this for a while, Brendan. I think he could be the best lefty since Jimmy Key for the Toronto Blue Jays. Completely different pitchers, but I could see Macko. Like, Key was a good lefty for a long time. David Wells was a good lefty for the Blue Jays in spurts. I could see Macko being a consistent contributor to this team. I'm excited about that. Now, we talk about the up the middle guys. So Alex DeJesus sort of in a log jam because there's so many up the middle guys, but still, where are you on him?
I think he needed time to adjust, to be honest with you. Like, some people, I don't think, understand how hard it is to move from one organization to another, especially if you haven't done it before. He was not great to end the season last year, and he wasn't great to start the season, but he's kind of adapted to the new organization, and I think he's been playing a lot better. More home runs, higher batting average. I think I may have worked this one down. Since May 16th, an arbitrary date, he's batting 304, 383, 565 with, I think, 4 home runs or something like that.
Well, you say random date. That's over a month, Brennan. That's a legit sample size. That's a legit sample size.
I was using that date like on like June 15th, and I felt kind of bad about it because it was like one day before a month. But yeah, no, he's just been a lot better lately. Like if you look at his stats before that day, they weren't as great. But again, stats aren't always that important. He hits the ball hard. He hits the ball the opposite way. I like what they got with him. And they also traded Moses Brito. Just a fun fact. He walked like one player last season in the DSL, which is pretty impressive.
That's okay. Yeah, geez, that's going to work. Holy moly. And then
he's on the Dodgers now, unfortunately.
Yeah. So hopefully a decline for him. No offense, Dodger fans. Yeah, no offense, Locked On Dodgers. But yeah, we're Locked On Blue Jays. Yes, indeed. So the last question here for you, Brendan. The trade deadline this season, I think it's going to be a seller's market. I think it's going to be an absolute feeding frenzy. You've got that third wild card spot. You have the Houston Astros look vulnerable. The Yankees, all the teams that coming into the season you would have thought